Our first storyteller is Mia Quintana. Can you come on up, Mia? Bravo.
So what the heck is unspecified psychosis? You see, when I was in second grade, I didn't talk to anyone, only about my parents and the teachers. So my mom went to the doctor, and they basically just said I was shy until I got to around 7th or 6th grade. Then I was anxious, and I wouldn't like being around a lot of people at once. I'd want to leave. And in that time, I was also quite sad. So I would get sad over very minor things. Like if I got a paper cut or lost something that was not very valuable, like a pencil. So my mom brought me back to the doctor, and she found out that I had anxiety and minor depression. And they were also told my mom that I had unspecified psychosis, which no one knew what that meant. Not even the doctor very, very well knew what that meant. So now that I get to 11th grade, my mom decided to have me tested again just to make sure she found out what the unspecified psychosis actually was. And she went to the doctor, they did some tests, and it came back that I was born with autism, and I had no clue about it. So now that I know that, it's very eye-opening, I guess. It makes me understand myself better, and it makes me happy that I can understand myself better. And it just makes me happy that everyone can understand me better now.
Now, judges, anybody want to say something that you liked about the story? You want to hear? Yes, please.
Mia, thank you for sharing your story. That was brave, and we're thankful and happy for you that you were able to get some answers. Good for you.
So Mia, one of the things that I loved about your story is that you're telling it very simply. There's a lot of very deep messages in there about what you're doing, and instead of trying to polish it out and try to make it into like a performance, you're just very bluntly saying, "This is me and this is who I am," and that takes a lot of courage, and so I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Mia. Bravo. Thank you. Next up, we're going to have Ava Cahill. Come on up, Ava. Here we go.
Once upon a time, Brianna was walking home from school. While she was doing that, she thought, I have the best parents. They run the pharmacy, and they help the people in our village. But unfortunately, many people are dying, and I wish my parents could help save them. When she arrived home, she was surprised to see her mom at home making soup. So she asked her mom, "Mom, why are you home making soup? Aren't you supposed to be working at the pharmacy?" And her mom goes, "Yes, Brianna, I'm on break. I want to use this time to make the soup." And Brianna was like, "Oh, it looks so good. Can I try it?" And her mom frantically closed the pot and said, "No, you can't try it. It's for Miss Smith. She's old and sick, and she really needs it." Brianna goes, "Okay, what the heck?" And she thought about it, and she's like, this isn't the only time that her parents have acted weird around her when it comes to the pharmacy. So she goes, she could recall a moment. When she had a cold, she would reach up to the shelf to grab the cold medicine, and her dad would run over and say, no, you can't have this. I'll run to the market and get you your cold medicine. Which was kind of weird because her parents owned the one and only pharmacy in Sleeping Cove. So that didn't really make any sense to her. So she's like, I have to investigate this. So once she waited her mom that's out of the room, she went in and scooped some of the soup into the container and ran to her room. When she was in her room, she's like, I don't know what to do with this soup. And then all of a sudden, you could hear knock, knock, knock. And Brianna panicked and hid everything away. And her mom goes in, what did you just do? And Brianna goes, nothing, I didn't do anything. Well, what's up? And the mom looked at her suspiciously and said, okay, well, you have basketball practice and you need to get ready for it. And then Brianna made sure that her mom left the room. She grabbed the soup and she began to try. No, I can't do it. I need to test it out first. So then she looks towards her hamster named Biscuit. And then she walked towards the hamster and pours the soup into the food bowl and goes, here you go, Biscuit. Mom made this special soup just for you. And once the hamster chomped up all the soup, it flipped over dead. And she goes, oh no, Biscuit, he's dead. She's like, oh no, that means. So then she runs out of her room, went to the pharmacy. She stops in her tracks. She saw her parents talking through the window, so she snuck and heard through the window. Darren, Brianna knows what we're up to. Darren goes, Meredith, what? That's impossible. How could she possibly know? And she goes, oh, this soup. She knows that the soup is meant to kill people. She knows that we're killing people because of population control. Oh, my parents, they're murderers.
Now, I think that is a delightful story. I like that you go ahead, you crafted the whole thing, and you put it in there. And I got to say, when we were working together, just in terms of a few minutes with coaching and putting things in, it's great. Judges, comments that you have about what you liked about the story? Yes, absolutely.
Ava, I really loved the story and the courage that you took just to get up there in front of everybody. I definitely don't want to eat any soup that you ever serve me. And on a personal note, I want to say that I loved having you in Latin 1, and you taught me to be a better teacher. I was sad this year that I didn't have you in Latin 2, but I hope I have the opportunity to teach you again in Latin 3 next year. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Hi, I loved the creativity of your story, and I also loved the way you described the action in it, like kind of with your like physical telling of it, but also I loved the way you described your action like verbally, made it really interesting and really engaging. So great job. Yeah.
Thank you. Beautiful. Anybody else? All ready? Thank you so much, Ava. Bravo. Thank you, Ava. Wonderful. All right. Harbin, you're up. Come on up. Ladies and gentlemen, Harbin Perez. You want it here? You want to hold? Now, so stand here, please. So you're in the light. Go ahead and get very close with the microphone to tell it, okay?
Okay.
Good, thank you.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Harbin, tengo la edad de 16 años y soy de Nicaragua. Hoy estoy aquí parado frente a ustedes porque he decidido compartir algo que he vivido desde mis 4 años. Era un 2 de febrero del 2011 cuando mi mamá decide salir del país en busca de una mejor vida. Ella se fue a España. Depositaba mensual, le depositaba dinero a mi papá para ayudarle en los gastos de mi hermana y los míos. Y bueno, pasaron los días y yo cuando ya no la recordaba, yo preguntaba por mi mamá y lo que me decía es que ella se había ido para otro lugar en un avión y cosas así. Bueno, uno de niños se imagina muchas cosas y recuerdo que a mí me preguntaban por mi mamá y lo que yo decía era que ella vivía en el cielo, ya que a donde yo vivía era un lugar de muy bajo recurso y era muy lejos de la ciudad, a donde los aviones pasaban muy alto. Y eso era lo que se me venía a la mente, que ella vivía en el cielo. En ese tiempo yo recuerdo que una vez hablé con ella porque le prestaron un teléfono a mi papá ya que nosotros no teníamos teléfono. Entonces estuve hablando con ella y fue la única vez que recuerdo haber hablado con ella. También después, tiempos después, ella volvió a llamar, pero yo no estaba, solo habló con mi papá y mi hermana. Y bueno, pasaron los años y fue hasta en 2016 que ella decide ir a Nicaragua para la fiesta de 15 años de mi hermana. Y mi papá nos dijo que mamá llegaría y bueno, yo en realidad no dije nada. Y ella no había llegado aún cuando yo le dije a mi papá que yo no quería hablar con ella, yo no la quería ver, porque en realidad yo no la conocía, bueno, sí la conocía, pero no me acordaba de ella, de niño que era. Llegó y yo no le hablé, no la quise mirar. Pasaron 4 días y llegó el momento en que yo hablé con ella. Luego salíamos a diferentes lugares, nos divertíamos junto a mi papá y mi hermana. Salíamos a muchos lugares. Pasaron 28 días cuando ella le toca regresar a España de vuelta. Recuerdo que ella me dejó una tablet y bueno, yo de ese tiempo yo hablé, ya quedé hablando con ella, yo hablaba con mi tablet con ella, hablaba todos los días y bueno, es ahora que estoy aquí y posiblemente el siguiente año a ella le salga la doble nacionalidad española y espero poder volver a reencontrarme con ella, que venga aquí para mi graduación y bueno, me siento feliz saber que puedo volver a reencontrarme con ella y cualquiera se sentiría feliz, ¿no?, de ver a sus padres después de mucho tiempo. También muchas personas se burlaban de mí porque me decían que yo nunca me crié con mi mamá y eso, y sin saber lo que me hacían sentir. Bueno, eso era todo y gracias por escuchar.
Thank you. Thank you. Harbin, thank you so much. Would you be able to give sort of a summation for me? Because I don't speak Spanish and I would love to hear, though I gotta say, even though I didn't understand Spanish, I'm riveted by you standing there.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you for sharing that story, right? Even though it was in Spanish, I loved it. It was personal and it touched. All right, so basically we wrote what, just a summation. So it goes like this. Harbin speaks of his Nicaraguan background. When he was younger, his mother had to leave for Spain to create a better life. Many years passed with minimal communication, and basically he forgot who she was. Other kids made fun of him for not having a mother, and he would often tell them she lived in heaven. He was grateful to his father for caring for him during this time. Finally, in 2016, they were able to reunite at his sister's quince in Nicaragua. While it took a little bit to connect, they did. Unfortunately, his mom had to leave after 28 days, but left him with a tablet through which they could communicate while she is in Spain. Harbin's greatest hope is that his mom is able to make it to his graduation next year. Also, Harbin, I really hope to have you in Spanish class next year.
Nice.
Thank you.
You want to say anything? Oh, please do.
Harbin, te quiero decir gracias por compartir tu historia con nosotros. Aquí muchos podemos agradecer tu valentía en contarnos esta historia tan bella, al mismo vez tan triste. Y creo que muchos aquí podemos sentir tus sentimientos cuando tenemos que estar lejos de un familiar que queremos y queremos que esté ahí con nosotros. Gracias.
It takes great courage for people to come up here and to share their story. Thank you. Next up, we have Xavier Cuevas. Xavier, do you want to use this or you want to hold it? You're going to hold it now. When you get it, put it real close.
¿En inglés o español? Yeah. Don't worry, I'll speak in English. Let's all agree on something. Mothers are your rock when you're little, right? So this story all begins when I was, well, let me start from the true start. I was born in New York. I was raised in Spain, and I went to DR. So I was 7 back in Spain. Me and my mom have had this amazing bond. My dad was never there. I mean, he was always in DR working, and most of the time he was with his other family because he had, besides my mother, he had other wife. So it only was me and my mother. She was an amazing person, a very hardworking woman. So most of the time, I was kind of a brat when I was young. You know, mom, I want this, mom, I want that, always kicking and making drama for anything. And it makes me sad because all she wanted to do was make me a man in the future, right? But I never go easy on her. I feel like I could be a better child for her, a better person back in the past, but it's not possible. So here's the thing. We moved from Spain. We were in Pamplona, and then we moved to Madrid. So back there, we only was me and her, right? We were a small family. We were never rich. And it was neat. I always wanted my dad to be there for us. I wanted my brothers to come by. And that dream come true. In my 8th birthday, if I'm not wrong, my dad came. And my brother came too. And Jesus, you don't know the happiness that bring to my life. Because I felt like my family was finally growing. I felt like finally I would have that family that I always wanted. But good things never last forever. One day, I don't remember why, I don't remember when, but me and my mother got into a fight. I can't tell why, but until that day, that fight keeps haunting me. All I can say is that I disrespected her in a way a child can never do to his mother. And the whole night she was crying. I could hear her from the walls because we lived in a very close apartment, and I can still hear her cry. I was waiting for the next morning to speak to her and say, "Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean what I said, but it wasn't possible." The next morning, I think it was 5 a.m., and I went to my mother's room, and my dad and my mother went there. My mom was in the hospital. Yeah. So I asked my brother what happened. He didn't know well. But still he said like, "Oh, they're just on a checking, see her blood pressure or whatever." And I believed it. I was 8 years old. He's the big brother. Why not should I believe him? So my dad arrived that same day, and I asked him, "Dad, where's Mom?" "Oh, she had to stay in the hospital. She's very, very sick. But don't you worry. She's gonna be fine. She's gonna come." I asked him, "Dad, can you please call Mom and tell her that I'm sorry what I said last night?" It was impossible because he told me that she was too sick to speak, and I was worried. An 8-year-old kid with only his mother beside him, I got worried. A few weeks passed. I was still hoping that I could see my mom again and tell her how sorry I was to speak in her in that way, but it wasn't possible. One day, I still remember that day very, very clearly. We were walking to the park, me and my brother, my dad, and I asked him, that was the 12th time, yeah, probably, I asked him, Dad, where's Mom? Your mom died. Your mom died. And I just couldn't bear the thought, like, Jesus, my main rock, my main pillar of love just vanished from this world. And I couldn't do nothing about it. All my dad could do was show me a picture of her, like with the tubes and the mask and all of that, in the bed, probably without life. And all I could do was hold on to that picture, hoping that my mom will feel the hug and the remorse I had in my heart. That day, I saw sunset, and it was mad beautiful, and all I can think of was her smell and her smile. A lot of family called me, family that I didn't know I had, because most of my familiars from my mother's side looked down to her, because we were never wealthy, right? We never had like, oh, we don't have this, we don't have that, we don't have a lot of money. But still, my mom, as I said, my mom was a very hardworking woman. She worked day, night. She was a nurse. She loved helping people. I admire her so much. That's the whole point. I can't remember a single day where my mom doesn't get worried for other people than by herself. She was very altruistic, let's say. She was very altruistic. So I changed as a kid. My whole childhood was ruined. My dad wasn't like the best pillar of love, but he was still there. Even though most of my childhood he was absent, I still can't feel like he's trying his best to raise me, and I appreciate that. Right now, he's back in DR, but I'm here. He made it possible for me to come here to Lynn, and I thank him for that. Right now, before that, once my mom died, like a month later, we moved to Pamplona again. My dad sent my brother back to his mom, and we were basically alone. We don't have money, we don't have nowhere to go, until this woman came to my dad and said, like, you can stay in my house. And that, ladies and gentlemen, changed my whole life. You know why? Because in the journey we call life, there are people that come beside you, that help you, that stand beside you and push you over to do some things you don't want to do. Even though it's not like you don't feel like doing anything or wanting to meet people, but there will always be someone by your side. That woman back there in Pamplona, she changed my whole life. She adopted me. She introduced me to her family. Right now, I'm living with my adoptive sister and her 4 beautiful children, and I'm thankful for that. The best thing you can do when someone gives you their time is appreciate it. Because if there's something more important for us humans, as the ephemeral, as the short-living creatures we are, is time, right? Because we're here today, but we can be gone tomorrow. So that's the best thing we can do. Appreciate the time people give to you. And like, hey son, let's sit and talk. That's the best thing you can do. So right now, what I'm thinking is self-improving, to prove to myself and my mom that I can be a better man in the future. I want to be someone that people can rely on. I want to be a strong type of guy that people can go and say, hey, Xavier, can you help me with this, with that? Just like her, it is my purpose to help those in need. She was a nurse. I want to be a Marine. A gun has no place in my hands. A gun has no place in my hands, so because it's just not for me. I want to help people. That's the main thing I want to do. Right now, life can be hard sometimes, but it's up to you and what attitude you put to the present when it's truly meaningful. Is the decisions you make and the actions that follow are a reflection of who you truly are. And it's my duty for myself and my mom back in heaven, God bless her, to be a better man in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Hang on, stay here, stay here. I think it takes a lot of courage to go ahead and open up your heart and to share that. There's an old saying that says, a joy shared is doubled and a sorrow shared is halved. So somehow we feel your pain, but we're grateful that you were brave enough to share it with us. Any teachers want to say anything? Yes.
Thank you for sharing that story. I'm actually not going to talk about the story because I imagine some of these guys are going to talk about that story. I want to talk about your speaking style up there. This is something I don't see very much because you're standing up there and you're talking to a room of somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 people, and you're talking as if you're just talking to your friends. You've got a very realistic, kind of comfortable style about you as you're talking, and that's rare. That's a gift. So well done.
Xavier, thank you so much for telling your story. And I was thinking about you, your story, and your mother, and I'm sure that she will be proud of you in the future. She's proud of you now, and I hope that you take all the good things of your mother inside your heart and emulate them for the rest of your life. Thank you.
That was incredibly personal and very deep, and you delivered it very, very well. That was an exceptional story, and I'm blessed for having heard it. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have now Mariah Genti. Mariah, do you want to hold it or do you want it on the stand? Okay. Can you get real close?
Real close, yes.
Thank you.
Hi. Hey guys, some of you know me, some of you see me through this hallway. And I have a really personal story to share with all of you today because I've noticed the impact that I have on some people's lives and the importance that it is as a person to be here and to just be alive. So at the beginning of this year, in the beginning of my junior year, I was hospitalized. I was hospitalized due to my mental health. My mom could not process that very well, especially in the emergency room. She would question me, she would judge me and everything, but I would never hold that against her due to the fact, one, I'm a Haitian American. Haitians, we're not raised with this perspective of mental health exists or anything like that, but it was just, we go through things and that's life. You gotta work through it. When I was eventually admitted into Epson in Salem Hospital, I remember walking out from my room, putting my belongings into my room, and walked in front of the door to go say my last goodbyes to my mother before I wouldn't see her. And she came through the 2 doors and looked at me, and she burst into tears and fell apart. I remember her face like it was just yesterday. Like I woke up this morning and I saw her face. She cried to me, begging me to stay, begging me to not go. She said I was the most important thing to her. She said that I was the reason why she was here today. I am the reason why she's as far as she is in life and why she is not as stressed as she would have been. She begged me to not let go. And all I was able to say to her at that time was that I'll be back. And I'll be back as soon as possible. And I'll be back better than I was before. And that gave me the strength and the stability to come out of the mental hospital better than I came in. I noticed how much progress I've made, and through from the beginning of the year to the end of my junior year, how much progress I have made mentally, and how much I've not let my past and a lot of the things that have happened to me make me gain a hatred for the world. I used to feel like I want to block out the world, stay in my room, stay in a corner, cry myself to sleep. But after I saw what my mother's face was, and after I came out and I saw my best friend, and she was there with me the whole time, I noticed how important certain people are in life and how important you can be in people's lives. And this is my message to all of you, that no matter what pain, suffering, anything happens, don't let it drag you down. You might have all of these thoughts in your head, you might fall apart, but just know that you can and you will recollect yourself and be taller than you were before. And yeah, that's it.
Mariah, thank you for sharing. Thank you for standing up here and telling us that the rocky path you had to go on to led you to this day where you were a strong woman and you were sharing. Thank you so much. Teachers, anybody have something? Absolutely. Here you go, Mr. Curley. Can you get closer to the microphone? Thanks.
Sure. Thank you very much for sharing that story. I don't think we talk enough about mental health and what it means in this country in general. And for you to stand up there in front of everybody and share that, that's an incredibly difficult thing to do. And I think it will have positive effects. And I'm really proud of you. Thank you.
Mariah, I think I know you pretty well, just even though you're not my student, you're a friend of my students, and I had no idea about your backstory. And I think it made me think that it's so important for me as a teacher not to judge students from the way they look or the way they act or the way they are in my classes, because we really don't have any idea the baggage that you bring to classes. And also, about your mom, parents, I can tell you, as a parent, we are not perfect. And we really depend on our children to teach us the modern way of the way things should be for you. And I appreciate the fact, and I value the fact that you helped your mother to be a better mother for you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. I've got my stuff over there. Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what everybody else said, that you did such a beautiful job sharing about yourself and sharing about your story. And I also just wanted to, speak about your energy and your presenting ability. You have a very beautiful stage presence, and I think that really glows and is very natural from you, which I think is really amazing. And I think that that will you being able to share your story in such a open and in such a strong performance way means that you can share your story for a long time in a way that can really empower people with your wisdom. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Mariah. Oh, yes? We had the stories over here. We got to end it with this, but I would love to hear it later, though, okay, before you leave? Yeah. Rita was over. Is Rita here and want to come up? Because she said she wasn't sure if she wanted to or not. And I told her it was absolutely her choice. And I think it's a thing, so we're honoring all of that. Now, yep. I have one thing over here quick. That, Mariah, with your story, my mother had depression, and she was on lithium for 40 years, and she was in psych wards and out when I was a junior in high school. And my mother would be fine at night. She's over there, and everything's great. She fixed supper, wake up in the morning. My buddy was there with me the night before. And my mom wakes up, and she's shaking. What shoes should I wear? Should I wear the brown shoes or the red shoes, the brown shoes? And I was embarrassed because my friend saw my mother like that. He walked up to her, put his arm around her, and said, Mrs. Buff, you wear whichever ones you want. And in that moment, my friend had more compassion for my mother than I did, and I love my mother dearly. After that, I was never concerned about what anybody thought about my mother because I loved her and I would support her. I went to psych wards to see her, and she was fine for the last 25 years of her life, so it's all good with that. So I think that that's something that we don't share. I want to say, so thank you so much. All of us over here, that we go ahead and we listen and we share. All the people here had an opportunity to come over here and be a part of the Story Slam. These were the people that chose to do it. So I think that that's a beautiful thing because, I would love to hear every single person's story here. For right now, there's one little story that I'm going to end with over here. It's called The Two Tigers. Once upon a time, there was a man walking in a jungle, and he heard a roar behind him, and he looked, and there was a tiger there. And the man ran to a cliff, and he climbs down a vine, and the vine is 100 feet off the floor of the jungle, and he hears the tiger above, and then he hears a roaring below, and he looks, and there's a tiger down below at the bottom of the cliff, pacing back and forth. And between the tiger's roars, when it was quiet, he heard a gnawing, and he looked up, and there was a black mouse and a white mouse gnawing through the vine that was holding him up. And in that moment, the man looked over on the side of the cliff. There was a strawberry, and he plucked that strawberry and put it in his mouth and thought, that is the sweetest thing I've ever tasted. That's the whole story. Now, I had it explained to me that the tiger behind is our past, the tiger below is our future, the vine is our life, and our black mouse and the white mouse are night and day, and soon enough, our lives will be cut short and we'll be done. But while we're here living, eat as many strawberries as you can. And this morning, listening to all these wonderful these stories was the sweetest strawberry I ever have had. Thank you so much. Now, I want to say thank you to the teachers who were involved here. So everybody gets a beautiful Ike dollar that has a year's worth of good luck for them. So, it's your bonus for coming in over here. Can I have all the storytellers come up on stage, please? Ladies and gentlemen, here's your storytellers! And your storytellers also get $1. Here you go. Now, you guys see me afterwards, and I'll give you your checks, okay?
Okay, this is huge.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your rapt attention. Thank you for everybody who participated with the Story Slam. If we're able to do it, I'm going to go ahead and try to write another grant. The funding for this came from the Lynn Cultural Council and the Mass Cultural Council, so I thank them. But to do this, everybody who speaks and stands up here, the great courage that all of you shared was fantastic. Another round of applause, please. Thank you. Take a bow, ladies and gentlemen. Take a bow. There you go. Good job. Thank you so much.
Since 1986, Lynn Educational Television has enabled students to work in the television industry and learn how to produce media. LETV creates working opportunities for Lynn students, giving them the benefit of gaining real-life work experience in production. Lynn Educational Television brings value to Lynn students, delivering standards-based curriculum in the classroom from middle school to high school. LETV creates future generations of media professionals.